Hey, kids, it's the Matt Murphy Radio Show getting underway for another day on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Pleased you've decided to join us. Whatever amount of time you're able to give us, we're certainly appreciative of that. We have 180 minutes per day, Monday through Friday. That's 3 hours. And we hope you spend every moment with us. Leading up to the drive with Brian Wilson this afternoon at 3. It's episode 417 as I dive right into the pleasantries, and we'll get things lumbering under our own weight here presently. It's Monday, September 18, 2023. You can listen and watch on a variety of platforms. You can listen, obviously, on the radio, 99.7 FM on your radio dial, 100,000 watts all throughout Middle Tennessee, Southern Kentucky, Northern Alabama. You can also tune us in via a streaming option of your choosing. Whatever streaming option you have there, just type in Supertalk 99.7 WT and you'll get to where you're going. And then there's the Supertalk TV option where you can see my ugly face right here on the old television. You cannot see Bell. He chooses to be headless, but I do not. That would be YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. F&M Bank chat line is up and running there. You may communicate with the broadcast in that fashion. You can also call us at 615-737-9986. That's 615-737-9986. That 9986. Remember, youngsters, there was a time when you could spell out words on your phone, and at the time, that would spell out WWTN, that 9986. There was a time when they ran radio and television advertisements telling you to call like 1-800-BELL sucks, and you'd go, and you would have to type up B, and then you don't know how to spell Bell, and you're confused.
Your opinion means very little to me.
Thank you very much. There's Headless Bell. He's making sure that everything that comes out of our speakers sounds as good as humanly possible. By the way, to finish the thought, you can call us, and you can also super text us on the super text line. Absolutely love the super text line. So, how was the weekend there, Bell? Good?
Yeah.
Sleep?
Not enough sleep. No. Had work yesterday.
Thought of you last night. I
hope you're awake and clothed.
Gross. I was at a musical venue, and I thought it was a pretty cool and happening place. And typically, if I'm in a cool and happening place in Nashville, I think, there was a time when Bell K was actually cool and happening, long before he met me.
True.
And he probably would have appreciated this. I was down at the Marathon Music Works, the music venue down near the Marathon Motor Company.
That place is extremely cool. It's one of the nicer venues in town in terms of large clubs. I saw one of my most favorite bands in that place.
But I felt so old. I watched a band called or a group called The Midnight. And even after spending 2 hours watching a group called The Midnight, I can't really express to you what they were. They were like synth pop. So there's a lot of synthesizers going on, but there's also some hot sax going on. That sax, S-A-X. Hot sax going on. There's some hot guitar licks going on. I don't.
See, your description is making me think of like orchestral maneuvers in the dark.
Just go wide. It's just all the songs sounded the same. I was the old man just standing there going, "Oh, these songs sound the same," but the crowd seemed into it. And that's all good. A buddy of mine came into town, and his friend stood him up, and so we went to. He's a big fan of. Tim is my friend. You've heard Tim. Tim Melton has been heard on these airwaves as a newsman. He's a newsman in Birmingham.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so Melton is a huge, ginormous, giant he's 6'9", and I'm not exaggerating. He is 6'9", and so he's a beast of a man. And he's a big, big fan of salad bars. To each their own, man. I don't know what to tell you. I'm a big fan of salad bar. I love a salad bar.
Yeah, but when you're 6'9", how does a salad bar maintain that mass?
And let me, quick story, little point of personal privilege. So, Melton, I hope you're listening to the show. So, he's a big fan of the salad bar, and we're having a discussion some months ago, and I told him, I've got a place for you to go if you're a big fan of the salad bar. And he said, okay, and I'm talking about Sperry's Restaurant over in Belmead. Now, there's one in Cool Springs, too. They're the same thing, essentially. And we go. And we avail ourselves of the salad bar. I did not tell him that Sperry's has a dress code, which concerned him greatly. And I said, dude, you're in pants and a collared shirt. You're fine. And he's like, I look like an idiot, yada, yada, yada. Put him off his game a little bit. But I had forgotten. Have you ever gone to a steakhouse where the person that you're with wants a well-done steak?
Yeah, and that usually ends the friendship right there.
Melton couldn't pull the trigger on ordering it well done, though. He ordered it medium well, and he still got a look. Life must be pretty hard for somebody that likes a well done steak. Because anytime you're in a group of people and somebody orders their steak either medium well or well done, everyone looks at them like they just ate a roach. And rightly so.
Or they're about to.
And rightly so. I mean, the only thing that makes cow edible is its medium rare status. I mean, you get to medium well or well. Oh, my goodness gracious. Awful. Anyway, it was a good evening, but I thought about you because I was in the midst of this, the midnight. But before the midnight came on, they had this guy, and this is where I really felt old. They had the opening act. The opening act, Bell, when did this happen? The opening act was a DJ, and
early 2000s.
He had a computer. He didn't have turntables.
Right.
He had a computer, and he had a mixing board, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's up there, and he's jamming, and he looks like he's twisting knobs, and he's doing these various things, and this beat is going on. And I turned to Melton and I said, why is he up there? Couldn't he have done all of this before the show and just play this without standing on stage?
I think the fee he can charge is a little less if he does it that way.
Do you know what I'm saying? I'm
Yes.
like, what is he doing live that he couldn't have done prior to the show?
Yeah, that couldn't have all been pre-recorded and just played through the system.
Right. But he's up there and he's jamming and he's acting like he's doing, and I'm standing around a bunch of 20-somethings and 30-somethings feeling like an old man trying to order a sandwich at a deli.
What was the price on the tickets? I know you got yours free, but
I think it was $45, something like that. That's about right. $45 to $50.
that's a pretty popular band if you can charge that much.
The venue was, it wasn't packed because it's a huge place, but there were a lot of people there. And a lot of them had little blow-up saxophones that they brought with them. I'm not making that up.
Good for them.
It's the first concert that I've been to in a long time. And it was a stand-up only, and I realized that I'm at a point in my life where I want a seat. Can I just get someplace to sit down and rest my feet? Thank you. I don't need to stand up for 2 hours. Anyway, there's lots to get into today. I'll be honest with you, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to lie to you. I will tell you when it's a slower news day. You know what? We tell you when there's a lot of hot news action, and I'll tell you when it's a slower news day. And I feel like it's a slightly slower news day. Yes, we had the Trump interview over the weekend with Meet the Press. We'll discuss. Yeah, we've got a few things to say about the presidential contest on the Democrat side of the ledger. We'll discuss. This is where I make my bones, that I will make it interesting for you over the next 3 hours, despite the fact that I would say that on the whole, it's probably a C-plus day when it comes to news items to discuss on today's show.
This is
C+.
one of those days where you truly earn your paycheck.
Earn my money.
Because you got to work it.
It's time to earn my money, and I'm going to earn my money. The rules did you see over the weekend, it was announced by Chuck Schumer and the Democrat majority in the Senate of the United States of America that they've changed the rules of the Senate with regard to dress code. So I'm not even saying I agree with the rule. I don't care. But there is a certain level of decorum when you step to the floor of the House of Representatives or you step to the floor of the United States Senate that one would expect that we will keep up. And John Fetterman, senator from Pennsylvania, is a slob. Forget his obvious mental issues. The man is a slob and has been a slob all of his life.
He's nicknamed Lurch. But if you remember the Addams Family, Lurch was always in a tuxedo.
Correct. He's much more Chunk than Lurch.
Yeah.
Chunk from the Goonies. Hey, you guys! So Fetterman, apparently the people surrounding John Fetterman, and this is something that's not been a part of the mainstream news cycle, and I find it fascinating. They're making an argument that wearing a suit makes him mentally unstable.
I don't think it's the suit.
That's their argument.
I don't think it's the suit.
Well, I agree with you, Bell, but when he
that stroke has nothing to do with it.
He got elected, inexplicably. I don't know how this happens, but he gets elected as senator of the state of Pennsylvania despite his obvious mental impairment. And forget about his stroke. For goodness sake, this man was a loser from the jump. He lived with his parents for most of his adult life. Let me give you a hot tip. If your age starts with a 3 and you live with your parents, you've got a loser situation going on, people. And you need to examine yourself. Absent, and I know that there are exceptions that demonstrate the rule. I understand that certain things, medical and whatever, and I'm not talking about that. But Fetterman went into, what was it, Walter Reed or wherever he was? He went into the hospital with depression. And now, very quietly, Fetterman's people have argued that part of the reason that he was depressed was because he had to wear a suit.
Well, I can buy that part.
Give me a break.
I would like to personally challenge both Bill Hagerty and Marsha Blackburn to appear on the floor of the Senate in a Motley Crue T-shirt.
Oh, I would love it.
I would love it.
So they changed the rules for the senators themselves, but for no one else. Anyone appearing on the Senate floor, you have to dress like you previously had to dress, business attire for females, coat and tie for men, unless you are a sitting senator. If you're a sitting senator, you can dress any way you want. And I would love it
so if you're a page or anybody that's, you still have to wear dress
coat
attire.
And tie. Gotcha. Coat and tie if you're male, and business wear, I guess it would be business casual, but business wear if you're a female. Kathy says Fetterman isn't Lurch, he's Uncle Fester. He's something or another, right? Patrick says, I can't believe Matt just insulted Chunk from the Goonies like that. I think he's thinking of Sloth from the same movie. I am, and I apologize. Yes, Chunk was the fat kid.
Yeah.
Had to do what was it called? The Truffle Shuffle? Was it? That's not
the Truffle Shuffle, yeah.
Well, yeah, to get in, he had to do the thing. My apologies. Yes, I am thinking of Sloth. Hey, you guys! Chunk and Sloth became friends over ice cream. Thank you, Patrick, the smartest listening audience on planet Earth, right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Anyway, the rules of the Senate changed over the weekend because of John Fetterman, because John Fetterman's office was making the argument that the necessity for him to wear a suit was causing him mental depression. This is where we are in the United States of America today, where nothing is anyone's fault. No one has to go through any issue that might cause them a certain level of pain or discomfort. Any mild discomfort in your life needs to be alleviated by federal statute or state statute. It's my God, can you imagine being in a world war with this? No offense to a lot of the 20-somethings that listen to this radio show, and I understand that there are a lot of good. There's a lot of good that comes out of our younger generations. But for the life of me, I can't imagine going into a conflict a la World War II and actually coming out on the other side victorious. Speaking of conflict, we'll talk about the Russian-Ukrainian conflict on today's show as well. We'll talk about some of the conflict within the Republican Party regarding how to handle certain members of the Republican Party, to include Lauren Boebert, who seen any good shows lately?
Put any on?
The problem there is that once again, it's the Nixon doctrine. I've been talking about the Nixon doctrine for my 25 years on talk radio. The Nixon doctrine it's not what you do, it's what you do to try to lie about what you did that gets you in the most trouble. Lauren Boebert gets all handsy with her buddy at a show and then lies about it. Claims she didn't vape and she wasn't groping her buddy, when obviously she was doing both. Little did she know that there were cameras trained on her at the time that she was a part of that audience. And then, fascinatingly, there's a bunch of and I'm not a part of Club Republican. I've never claimed to be. But there's a bunch of Republicans that are wanting to defend this nonsense. No, we're better than that. Give me a break. And I don't even know what to make of the Kristi Noem story. I don't know if it's true or not, but that broke simultaneous to the Lauren Boebert story, and both were making waves over the course of the weekend. And if you've not heard, there's an accusation that Kristi Noem is having an affair extracurricular to her marriage out of South Dakota. All right, $6 billion for 5 individuals. There was a trade, 5 for 5, plus we gave the Iranians $6 billion of their own money that was on hold because they are a state sponsor of terrorism. Donald Trump spoke on the issue of abortion over the weekend, and I do believe that Donald Trump is right in his assessment of this issue. RFK is floating the idea of becoming a third-party candidate for president of the United States. That's on the table as well. And LPRs, we discussed this with our new mayor, Freddie O'Connell, mayor of Nashville, Friday on the show. If you missed it, it's up and running on the podcast. We had Freddie O'Connell and Congressman Andy Ogles on the same day on Friday if you missed that show. I want to dive a little deeper into LPRs because Dan Mandis said something this morning on Nashville's Morning News that struck me. I flagged it. He's like, well, I'm a conservative. I don't even know if I'm a libertarian. Of course, no, he said, I'm a conservative. I don't even know if I'm a Republican. And then he mentioned when it came to LPRs that libertarians were going to be against license plate readers. And I disagree with that characterization. But we'll dive into it and get your thoughts on it. 615-737-9986 as we get the show underway. It's 1220 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy for Craft Body Scan. Spell craft with a C when you type it out, craftbodyscan.com. More on that in a moment. I'd like to talk to you about your heart health and your lung health for just a second, right? I mean, I understand your body means, well, a lot to you, and clearly you don't want anything going on that is a negative within how your system works. Well, what if I told you that something might be going on without your knowledge? What if I told you that things might happen that can be detected through CT scan technology, through Craft Body Scan, long before they're going to become symptomatic? That matters, right? And with Craft Body Scan, they want you in-house. They want to get you in there with your spouse or significant other. And so for $149, they're offering a heart and lung scan right now at Craft Body Scan for you. All you have to do is make the call and make the appointment today. It takes about 5-8 minutes. The scan itself, after your initial health consultation, you're scanned right on site. This is new technology to Nashville. It's been around for a few years, and Craft Body Scan's been around since 2017, providing these incredible scans and providing you peace of mind. CraftBodyScan.com, spell craft with a C, or 615-436-1000, 436-1000, Craft Body Scan. The Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief is located in Franklin. Really, anywhere within the sound of my voice is worth the trip to the Dr. Gill Center. And they want to help you alleviate pain without the need for pills and without the need for surgery. Let's talk about it. If you have back pain or neck pain or knee pain or hip pain or elbow pain, really anywhere on your body, they can treat you with no needles and no downtime. They've been doing it for a while. At the Dr. Gill Center, they've been helping people get back to a pain-free life for over 30 years. So they're a chiropractic center, no doubt. But while they offer chiropractic care, they also have state-of-the-art industry equipment like their Class 5 laser system, their red light therapy, and their decompression systems, which are all designed to pinpoint inflammation in the body, reduce pain, reduce swelling, and accelerate healing. So wherever you hurt, they can help you. Thank you to the Dr. Gill Center. Call to schedule an examination, x-rays, and a complete results of findings. But hurry, I want you to get in there and get your appointment made right now. 615-882-4838. 882-4838 for the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief in Franklin. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm just responding to a super texter who wrote in 1744, said, steak snobs are the worst. I mean, the worst? The worst? They're pretty bad, but I can't imagine. If anyone complaining about snake snobs, good gracious, it's easy for you to say. Anyone complaining about steak snobs, I know that they like their steak medium well or well. Right? Why else would they care? I don't really care how you eat your steak. Honestly, I don't. Y'all do you. I also like this one. You're not a Republican? Then get off my Republican radio station. You know, I think a lot of people around here are conservative, but I don't know how much Republican we are anymore. I mean, are we really? What does it mean to be a Republican nowadays? Dan Mandis was asking that question this morning. I mean, do you have to believe in $32 trillion in debt in order to be a Republican nowadays? Because that's the way it feels. Tell me the last Republican that cut the budget. Tell me the last Republican that balanced it. I'll wait. Republicans don't act like Republicans very much anymore, at least as I understand what they were originally constructed to be. Republicanism and conservatism don't go hand in hand anymore like they used to. Now, I'm not one to tell you folks your business. I'm not a Republican. I've never claimed to be a Republican. I am a libertarian with a small L, meaning I do not belong to the Libertarian Party, but I believe in the libertarian philosophy of government. That is, government serves best, that serves least or only when absolutely necessary. That we believe in individual rights and individual constitutional liberties, and that those liberties should remain sacrosanct in our society. Only if you're being denied your liberties through force or fraud should government intervene in order to protect those liberties, and sometimes they do so preemptively. That said, Republicans don't act like Republicans very much anymore. Certainly when it comes to spending our money. That's my take on that. On the other side of things, you got RFK, an armed man accused of impersonating a United States Marshal, was taken into custody at the Robert Kennedy Jr. campaign event in Los Angeles Friday afternoon. Spokesperson from the LAPD said that a radio call was generated around 4:30 in the afternoon, reporting a man with a loaded gun on his shoulder holster and a badge stating he was a U.S. Marshal. FBI present at the time, LAPD present at the time. They said the man never brandished his gun. It was always a difficult word for me to say. Brandished his gun or threatened anyone. Adrian Aspuro, 44 years of age, was identified as the suspect. According to his booking details, he is currently being held in Los Angeles on $35,000 bail for a felony charge of carrying a concealed weapon. According to a statement from the Kennedy campaign, a private security team interacted with Aspuro ahead of Friday evening's speech after he insisted that he was a part of the candidate's security detail and asked to be taken to Robert F. Kennedy immediately. That has to be especially concerning if you're a Kennedy. I mean, obviously, the security of our political figures when you're running for president of the United States of America is incredibly important. But especially if you're a Kennedy, especially if you've been as outspoken as Robert F. Kennedy has been regarding some of the government malfeasance that's been going on over the past several years with regard to pharmaceutical industry and the ties and collusion that the United States government has with the pharmaceutical industry and how that related to COVID-19 and the spread of the virus that was leaked from the Wuhan laboratories. One can understand why Robert F. Kennedy would have a target on his back, literally and figuratively. Robert F. Kennedy also indicating that he would be willing to engage in a third-party run for president of the United States. Please, oh, please, oh, please, oh, please. More of this, please. Please. I need this I need it injected into my veins like a COVID-19 vaccine. Because the Democrats don't know how to handle it. They want to pretend he doesn't exist, but he does exist. And because of the ineffective nature of the current president of the United States of America, and because it's obvious that Joe Biden's no longer running the show, Robert Kennedy's gotten a lot of attention. He's become an attractive alternative, especially for Democrats, and there are plenty of them that don't believe we got told the truth about COVID-19 in 2020, 2021, and 2022. Or, well, today, really. And for those reasons, Kennedy's polling in the Democrat primary, what about over 20% in some polls that I've seen. If Robert Kennedy ran as a third-party candidate, Robert Kennedy would ensure the reelection of Donald Trump, which would be a good thing for everybody. 1231, Super Talk 99.7 WTN, 615-737-9986. Stand by. It's rebates galore at the Safe House. Mark at the Safe House want me to let you know that the rebates are still available for you, and they have a better selection than anyone else in the United States of America. I've seen it with my own eyes. We've done broadcasts from Nashville Safe House. We've gone through the aisles at Nashville Safe House. You count all of the safes that they have on display, and you get about over 200 typically. That said, let me tell you something. They've got over double the amount of safes that they have on their showroom floor they have in their warehouse. I mean, they oftentimes have more than 600 safes. That means that they have the safe for you. All you have to do is go by and see them at Nashville Safe House today. And they have the rebates for you as well. Of course, they've got Browning. Of course, they've got Fort Knox. They've got all of the brands that you've come to know and love. Plus, they've got jewelry safes, corporate safes, vault doors. Yep, they've got it all. It's what they do at Nashville Safe House. Go to NashvilleSafehouse.com for more information. NashvilleSafehouse.com. Browse online. Better yet, go to 4th Avenue South and browse in person right across from City Cemetery. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Nashville Safe House. Super Talk 99.7 WTN 1236. Cruising through a Monday edition of the Matt Murphy Show. Pleased you've joined us. Episode 417. I hope your team won over the weekend. Of course, man, Tennessee Volunteers took it on the chin over the weekend. I knew that was a dangerous game with the Florida Gators. Anyway, but let's get the Monday afternoon cranked up in the right fashion. Rick is in the borough, wants to talk about snake snobs. I can't say it, Rick. It's infuriating. Steak snobs. Hello, Rick.
Hello. This is Rick.
Hello, Rick.
Yeah.
This is Matt.
Hey, I got one name for you. Donald Trump. He likes his steak well done, and he eats it with ketchup.
Does he now?
I heard that on a radio show one day. I'm like,
well, it's got to be true if you heard it on a radio show, you know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How do you like yours, Rick?
Well done. I like mine medium.
Yeah.
Medium rare. I like it to where almost the blood is coming out of it, but not quite that rare.
Yeah, I worked at a couple of restaurants back in the day, and I cooked it. I cooked steaks every single way you could possibly imagine. To include, there was a person. Now this was at Waffle House, right? So you're eating a T-bone steak at Waffle House, but Waffle House for a while there, Waffle House was the #1 seller of T-bone steaks in the United States of America, if you can believe that.
Really?
Yeah. Well, because they had so many restaurants and they sold a lot of them. So
yeah, that's true. I never thought about that.
I had a guy that would come in every Friday night late, and he wanted he wanted you to take the steak out of the freezer or out of the fridge, and you put it on the grill for about 3 seconds, flip it, turn it on the grill for about 3 seconds, then serve it to him. All he wanted to do was cut the chill. He wanted a raw steak without the chill on it.
That sounds like a friend of mine. He would cook his steak probably 2-3 minutes on either side, and when you cut it, you could see it wiggle, and blood would run out. I'm like, Mark, how can you eat that? He's, oh man, this is good. Try it. And I go, no, thanks.
Well, I try not to make, I've learned over the years, and you guys hear what I'm saying now. I try not to make a matter of taste into a matter of fact. I think we have far too much of that goes on in the world. Now, I'll tell you how I enjoy a good steak, and I'll tell you why I think the way I enjoy a good steak is the best way to enjoy a steak. Well, it's certainly the best way for me to enjoy a steak because it's a matter of my taste. But I've noticed, and these things, a light bulb goes off with me when I hear these things. When people say, I say, hey, Belle, have you seen the movie Jaws? Oh, horrible movie. Awful. Garbage. Right. Well, yeah, in your opinion. No, it's awful. It's a horrible. Well, you're making a matter of taste a matter of fact. These are opinions. Everybody's got a couple of them. How do you feel about Jaws, by the way?
Medium well. That's how I like my shark.
Have you ever had shark?
Yeah, actually I have.
Any good?
Yes.
I don't know that I don't remember having shark if I've ever had shark.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised because I was with somebody at dinner and they kind of had me challenged to try it, and it was not a mistake, I will say.
Somebody said steak Pittsburgh style. I don't know what that means. A well-done steak is always medium rare.
That means that the Attorney General decides how it's cooked.
Hey, I'm a very well-done steak filet girl with ketchup. See, I just don't understand why you would spend the money on steak if you're going to cook it well done and put ketchup on it. But that's none of my business either. I don't make a matter of taste into a matter of fact. You do you. If you want to eat your steak well done, if you want to eat a bootstrap, I don't care. If you want to spend $50 and ruin something, in my opinion, then, have at it. It's your life. Now, is that true about Donald Trump, or was Rick making that up?
I've heard that story before.
That he
I
likes
don't know that it's true, but I have heard that story before.
I mean, it just feels made up. Like somebody was trying to cast ridiculous aspersions against Donald Trump. The more ridiculous, the better. Oh, that man eats a well-done steak with ketchup on it, because that's the most horrible thing you could do on the planet. Who knows? Once again, he enjoys a good taco salad, and I have to love a guy that enjoys a good taco salad, especially on Cinco de Mayo. Speaking of food, you know what today is? We need, by the way, Bell, we need one of
National
these.
Cheeseburger Day.
It is National Cheeseburger Day. That's exactly right. And I think I've asked you for this in the past. We need like horns. Like, bum, bum, bum. That'll work, yeah. I mean, it's a little long. But no, it works. It works for me. I was thinking more, I get that. That's good. That's good. I was thinking more just like the when, bum, 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 and that's it. You know what I mean? I like that. When I'm not, I like my steak well done with ketchup. That's fine. It's National Cheeseburger Day. So.
I'm much more into a cheeseburger than I'm a steak.
I think I am too.
Yeah.
You know, the guy was talking about how he liked his steaks and his buddy liked his steaks almost rare. And, if you tell somebody you like your steak bloody, they think it's perfectly normal. I had an experience in college where we were having a cookout, and this girl, this is back in the day, long before I met Erica, this girl that I kind of, I don't know that I had the hots for her, but I was certainly attracted to her. She, we're standing at the grill and we're getting ready to grill burgers, and they bring out the meat. And this girl that I was mildly attracted to picked up a raw hamburger patty and ate it. And I was no longer attracted to her. It was like that.
When I did record promotion in Denver, the Warner Brothers rep that I was friends with, he would eat hamburger raw like he was just snack on it. I'm like, what the hell are you doing?
And once again, different strokes for different folks, but bacteria, right?
E. coli. Come on, man.
I mean, come on. Yee.
Whatever. It's your E. coli.
I know, but it's just funny how we're conditioned in this way that if I see somebody eating a bloody raw steak, I don't think twice about it. But if I see somebody eating a handful of hamburger meat, I'm like, you need to go to a mental hospital.
The thing is if you put a steak on a fire at all, it's going to kill the bacteria on the surface. When you grind up meat, it mixes the bacteria all into it.
There you go. That's the point. That's the difference. Now, that said, on this National Cheeseburger Day, best cheeseburger. You know what? We should do this. We should run a contest in the 2 o'clock hour. Best cheeseburger in town. Locals only. You know what I mean? Because I could go for a good burger on National Cheeseburger Day.
And if you say Burger King or McDonald's, you're disqualified from ever listening to the station again.
Yeah, you have to give your radio up because, come on. 1244, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So, license plate readers came up last Friday when we had Freddie O'Connell on the show. And I did a deeper dive over the weekend on license plate readers because I'm confused what the concern with LPRs truly is. I heard Dan Mandis this morning on Nashville's Morning News talking about LPRs, suggesting that, well, any libertarian wouldn't like a license plate reader, and I disagree. The automated license plate reader, or ALPR, is a camera use system that has computer software that captures an image of a vehicle's license plate and transforms that image into alphanumeric characters that represent the plate number. Those characters are then processed through a database by which law enforcement gets an alert when a vehicle has passed through the reader that is wanted by law enforcement. So law enforcement already has to proactively say that they want a certain vehicle with a certain plate in order for that plate to ping through these license plate readers. So people that aren't wanted by authorities, they go about their way. So ultimately, the license plate reader technology is just an advancement in the ability for cops to be in certain places and to visibly observe vehicles that are otherwise wanted by authorities. So I'm wondering if any of my libertarian-minded friends would argue against LPRs on that level, that it is somehow a violation of civil liberty when you're on the road already. I do not believe that any of us have any expectation of privacy when we're on the public roads. Now, obviously, there are exceptions to be made in your vehicle. For example, if I get pulled over for whatever reason and a police officer asks to look in my toolbox in my truck, that police officer is going to be told no. That's a private area in my vehicle. That area is not in plain sight. Nothing within that area of my vehicle is within plain sight. If you want to come back with a warrant to look in my toolbox, then we can talk. So there are exceptions to the concept of understanding that you're in a public space. But I don't understand the concerns about LPRs in Nashville. And I sure as hell don't understand the concerns about LPRs when it comes to liberals. Because what I'm hearing from them is, well, we don't like where they've been placed. What do you mean you don't like where they've been placed? In the high crime areas? Yeah, but those are majority black areas. Well, I can't help that the majority black areas in the city of Nashville are some of the higher crime areas in the city of Nashville, but stats don't lie, people. So we're going to discuss that on the show today. LPRs, and I'm most curious to get conversation going amongst individuals that are against LPRs for whatever reason, whether you're against an LPR because you believe it's a violation of your civil liberties, or you're against LPRs because there's somehow there's a racial component to all of this in the city of Nashville that you don't like. 615-737-9986. 9492 says, nothing to hide, nothing to worry about. That's not necessarily true, and I appreciate the concept, but it depends on where we're talking about. If I get a knock on my door at 1 o'clock in the morning and it's police standing outside of my door and they say, hey, we've had a report that there's a wanted fugitive in your neighborhood, we want to look through your house, I'm going to tell them no. I got my house handled. Well, what? If you don't have anything to hide, you don't have anything to worry about. No, I have my civil liberties to worry about. I have the unwarranted search of my home to worry about. That's a slippery slope where I'm not going. But on the public roads, that's a little bit of a different scenario. And here's the deal. License plate readers are simply an advancement in technology, but the methodology of all of this has been done by police officers for years. I mean, there's a reason we have license plates on the back of our cars. That's to identify the vehicle and to associate the vehicle with the person that's registered as the owner of that vehicle to begin with. I mean, if you want to take civil libertarianism back to its roots, a true civil libertarian would argue that we should not have to have license plates at all to register our cars. That's a government overreach in and of itself. But that seems ridiculous and antiquated thought. My point is this. Much like radar detection, the police use that to better facilitate stopping individuals that are breaking the laws through speeding. Similarly, LPRs are being used to stop car thieves and others. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a violation of or a crime. It could be something like the owner of the vehicle is wanted because of a what are the older alerts, like the alerts that are the silver alert, I guess they're called, not amber alerts, but silver alerts. 1250 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Your thoughts on LPRs coming up in just a moment as the Matt Murphy Show continues on the lunchtime hour. Stand by. So I was so pleased. I had my consultation with the gang at PhD Weight Loss. I spoke with Rachel this past Friday, and I was so proud to tell her that I am now down 30 34 pounds and counting. That's right. I was 219 when I stepped on the scale, and that includes my vacation. And I lost over 2 pounds while on vacation. You know, PhD weight loss not only teaches you how to act when you're at home and you're in your regular routine, but also when you're out of your routine, you take that valuable information offered by PhD weight loss with you, whether it's to a restaurant and you make better choices at said restaurant. You know, instead of picking the fried foods, I'm picking the veggies and I'm picking the grilled stuff. I mean, that's what it's all about with PhD weight loss. They teach you not just how to lose weight, but how to live your life in doing so. So I've lost 34 pounds with PhD thus far. The best endorsement that I can give you. By the way, the PhD guarantee stands. When you start your program at PhD, you set certain goals for yourself. Your consultant, your nutritionist is there to assist you in those goals. And if you don't get within 5 pounds of your target weight by the end of your program, they continue to coach you for free until you do. Can't ask for more than that. Thank you to Dr. Ashley Lucas and the PhD staff, because it works. I'm a testimony to it. 34 pounds and counting. PhD weight loss. Go to myphdweightloss.com today. That's myphdweightloss.com and begin your weight loss journey with PhD weight loss. Super Talk 99.7 WTN discussing license plate reader technology in the city of Nashville. I believe Mount Juliet has it. And someone on the super text line indicated that state troopers have LPR readers built into their light bars on the tops of their cars. I don't know if that's true or not. We just had a super texter indicate that. It is a modern way for our police officers to identify the vehicle and the individual associated with said vehicle regarding registration and the potential for said vehicle to be stolen. The purpose of LPR technology in the city of Nashville, according to Nashville.gov, their website, is to locate stolen vehicles or license plates, investigate or prosecute felony offenses associated with violent crime, locate vehicles involved in recklessness, such as street racing, locate missing children or elderly persons, that would be an amber or a silver alert, protect the community infrastructure during special events. The Metro Nashville Police will not utilize LPR systems for general surveillance of any individual, repossession of vehicles, expired tags, driver's license status enforcement, or insurance. So what's the problem here? This is a tool that crime fighters say give them a better ability to fight crime, especially if you're a civil libertarian. I don't understand what the problem is because you're on the public roads. We'll get to your calls coming up on this subject as we continue. It's the Matt Murphy Radio Show, Super Talk 99.7 WT, and stand by. The bottom line is this: what we don't know, the old saying, what you don't know won't hurt you. Well, sometimes what you don't know will hurt you. Take it from USS when they tell you this. United Structural Systems. They're in the business of learning information that could be hurting you as we speak with regard to your home, whether it's foundation repair, waterproofing issues, or the polylift system that lifts that concrete up to a level status. They give you peace of mind at United Structural Systems. They're the company that have provided peace of mind for over 25,000 residential customers, 100% satisfaction. This is how they make that happen. They come to your home. You get problem solvers who do just that, provide that peace of mind to the homeowner. You're not getting somebody that's trying to upsell you on anything. If you have foundation issues and you've noticed symptoms, if you have waterproofing issues and you've noticed symptoms, you want the peace of mind that knows that the best in the business is taking care of your diagnosis and taking care of your home. They warranty their work. They stand behind their work. They've been in business for well over a quarter of a century. They aren't going anywhere. Homeowners simply trust USS. I trust USS, and I know you can as well. They've been keeping homes stable and dry since 1994. They guarantee their best. Call 615-488-7855, 488-7855, or USSTN.com, USSTN.com. Here we go. Hour number 2. It is the Matt Murphy Radio Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's a Monday, Bell.
You ain't kidding. How I missed that is beyond me.
It's a Monday. Love it. All right, we'll get to your calls momentarily discussing.
Did you not understand what I meant?
Yeah.
Why does that really elude you?
Can't imagine what it. Every day, Bell gives me a sheet. Here it is, by the way. You can look at it if you're watching on Super Talk TV. It's my sheet. It's my live sheet. We call it the live sheet. It's those, endorsements that I provide on a regular basis. And here at 120, I try to work ahead. I just got done telling you about United Structural Systems, as a matter of fact. And as I was working ahead, I looked down and I saw it said at 120, it says live. Or maybe you meant live.
Don't read what I wrote. Read what I meant.
I will. Coming up in about 14 minutes or so. Speaking of telling you something that I mean, all day long today, we've been doing this online. We support the Monroe Carroll Jr. Children's Hospital as they're teaming up with the Nashville Soccer Club to fight kids' cancer. And I want you to bid on a unique experience, like a live broadcast featuring one of your favorite WTN hosts from your business. You can also bid on an incredible experience featuring the Nashville Soccer Club and so much more. Your bids support Monroe Carroll and the Monroe Carroll Jr. Children's Hospital at Vanderbilt, which is the #1 pediatric hospital in Tennessee in the Southeast. Go over online to 997WTN.com. That's 997WTN.com. You can find the link there. You can text KICK CANCER to 615-488-4401, 488-4401. Do that just to donate. But if you want to bid on one of these incredible opportunities, how about Matt Murphy broadcasting from your place of business? How about that? That'd be something, especially if it's a cheeseburger place. You know what I mean? That'd be nice. So go over to 997WTN.com. Can you tell I'm hungry? 99.
If you want a cheeseburger shop or a burger shop, bid big and bid often.
Yes, you want this in your life. And, Bell, I'll get you out there. I'll need an on-site producer for that day.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm in.
In all seriousness, the Monroe Carroll Jr. Children's Hospital, they're teaming up with Nashville Soccer Club and Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Go to 997WTN.com for more information. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out what people have against LPRs. And I was inspired. This conversation was inspired by Dan Mandis, who this morning said, he was talking about what it means to be a Republican nowadays versus conservative. And somehow he related that to LPRs in saying, well, if you're a libertarian, you're against LPRs, aren't you? Well, I'm a libertarian and I'm not against LPRs. Let me tell you a quick story. I'll go to the phones. So LPR technology is just a modern way for police to run your plates. And we either believe that there are fail-safes within that technology that prevent a disruption of civil liberties, or we don't. I mean, and I understand if you don't believe that those fail-safes exist. Let me tell you a quick story. Have I told the story, Bell, of when my name got mixed up with the dude in Mississippi?
Yeah, the arrest warrant.
Yeah. So E and I were going to a theatrical production. We were going to a play, and we're running a little bit late, but that's neither here nor there. We stop at a red light, and there's a police officer that's off to the side of the road near the red light, and he's just sitting there in his car. Well, unbeknownst to me, he was running plates. He was waiting for the light to turn red, and when the light turned red, cars would pull up, and he would see several of the plates, and he would run the plates, just running plates randomly, seeing if, bad guys are out and about. Well, he ran my plate and pulled me over. So I pull away from the red light. The guy gets in behind me. He pulls me over, quarter mile down the road. He's like, "What did you do?" I didn't do anything. I haven't done anything. I didn't run a red light. I've not done anything. Well, before this guy gets out of his car, no, I take that back. He came and got my information, my license and insurance. He goes back to his car, and before he comes back to me, there are 4 other police cars that descend on where we are. And one of them does this pit maneuver deal where he cuts in front of me, and there's another one that's behind. Everybody's got their lights on. I mean, it escalated like that. I mean, it escalated quickly. And I'm thinking, well, this is not just a speeding ticket. This is not just a traffic ticket. This is something else entirely. Well, unbeknownst to me, some years before, this had been on my license for years. Somehow a guy with my same name, different middle initial. His middle initial was W. My middle initial is D. Same name, different middle initial. They had us with the same social security number, although obviously we don't have the same social security number. His information got mixed up with my social. Same date of birth. He actually has the same name and the same date of birth as me, 9/1/73. This guy had been in prison in Mississippi and had busted out of the joint in Mississippi.
Well, there's the biggest disparity right there. You served your full sentence in Georgia.
Well, there you have it. So the way that they figured out, they were getting ready to lock me up and take me to jail. And I explained, this is obviously a case of mistaken identity. Eventually, after several minutes of looking through the thing and looking through the database, they got it figured out. And the guy said, you need to go to, he told me where I needed to go. I need to go to the driver's license division and get some of this cleaned out because, they run my license. And he said, when they pulled up on when I pulled your license up on my screen, everything on my screen turned red, which indicates to me that you are presumed armed and dangerous. Everything on my screen told me to call for backup before I do any. I mean, this is one bad mofo. You know what I'm saying? So they explained to me what I need to do to clean all of this out. And he said, if you have any trouble before you get it worked out, tell them to look at page 2. And I said, what's on page 2? He said, it's the facial tattoos. Descriptions of the facial tattoos. He said, that's how we figured out that you were not our guy because you don't seem to have any facial tattoos. I said, okay. So what do? We go about our way. We get to the play late, yada, yada, yada. Long story short, 3 months go by. I've done nothing. Nothing. So I'm tooling down a road in Hoover, Alabama, going about 15 miles an hour over the speed limit. And I get pulled over by a motorcycle cop. And I'm like, the first thing I think is, oh, crap, I was speeding. I'm about to get a ticket. The second thing I think is, oh, my God, I didn't do anything about that. Oh, no, he's going to think that I'm this guy. And understand, just to set the scene here, I weigh 219 pounds. At the time, I probably weighed 280. And I had this big honking sweat. I mean, I'm never a bigger dork have you met. I mean, I looked like a complete nerd. I had khaki pants on, a button-down shirt, and a sweater vest. I had saddle Oxford shoes on. I mean, I'm the dorkiest of the dorky. So the motorcycle cop comes up. He asks for my driver's license, and I just give it to him. For some reason, I didn't bring up anything because I'm hoping that it would just go away. And so he comes back, and he's got my ticket. And he goes, okay, sir, if you want to challenge the ticket, you can appear in court here. If you want to go ahead and pay it, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. He's handing me all my information back. And I said, excuse me. I said, this might seem like an odd question, but when you ran my license, did something weird come up, or is that resolved? Because I had an issue prior, I had an issue several months ago, and I'm hoping that it's been resolved. And he started laughing. He said, no, it's not been resolved at all. He said, you need to handle that. And I'm like, well, with all due respect, sir, why didn't you do anything about it? He said, have you seen this guy's rap sheet? That's a bad mofo. You're not, he said the words, though. I can't say it on the radio. He goes, that dude is a bad bleepity bleeper. He said, no offense.
You're not.
That's what he said. He said, no offense, you're not. And I said,
thanks.
Thank you? I think. I'm not sure. And I'm sitting there going, man, I got to lose weight and get some more clothes. Anyway, I eventually got it removed from my record. The point in telling that story is not only that it's a pretty funny story, but also police officers have been doing this type of activity for a long time. Are not LPRs just an extension of their natural ability to run your license plates anyway? All right, with thoughts on this, let's go to the phones. I asked and I've received 615-737-9986. David is first up in Nashville this hour. Hey, David, how are you?
I'm fine. Hold on, let me take you off the speaker.
Yes, sir.
I'm from Chicago, came down here about 1987. License plate readers were installed on the intersections in the black neighborhoods in Chicago, West Side, South Side. Anyway, what happened was it started out just license plate readers, stolen cars. It started out stolen license plates. It started out warrants. Then it progressed into if you run a yellow light. Then it progressed into you ran a red light, and they mail you a ticket. Then it progressed into speeding down Cicero Avenue, down Stony Island. And now the license plate readers are as bad as George Orwell's Big Brother watching you, because they watch every intersection, every car that goes through, yellow light, red light, even close to crossing a yellow light. If that red light comes on, you get a ticket in the mail for $186. You don't pay it, your license gets suspended. So the LPRs, what they're telling you it's for right now, is going to manifest into a bigger and more progressive and aggressive police department.
Well,
and one other thing. Flex cars and police cars have had license plate readers in them for years. You think they sit there and type out your license plate when they pull you over?
No.
Their screen splits into a four-way split, and they driving past you at 12 miles an hour faster than you're going, and the license plate reader will tell them when there's a car with a warrant on it or a car with something wrong, no insurance, wrong plate for the wrong car, right man, he owns both cars, but he got the wrong plate on there. That's a felony. And they will back up, slow down, get behind you, and pull you over. And that has been going on for years.
On the Chicago issue, and I don't know the answer to this, you might. Each time they advanced the technology to do different things with it, did they have to vote on that?
No. It's already been passed. You already approved of the license plate readers. The council already said go ahead with it.
Well, I can't speak to the particulars of the Chicago deal because I don't know what they passed initially. You obviously know more about it than I do. I know in Nashville, the Metro Nashville Police Department and the Metro Nashville Council passed license plate readers only to be utilized under very specific circumstances and for very specific things. And if they want to do anything else with them, they're going to have to they're going to have to pass more legislation. So I would be against that type of activity that you're talking about, David, obviously, because I think that's extending it well beyond what I consider to be a useful measure for the police departments. And secondarily, I would note this. Whatever they're doing in Chicago is not working. That's the end of that sentence. That's really the end of that statement. Regarding policing in Chicago, Illinois, whatever they're doing is not working. Did you see over the weekend the machete attack?
No, but it doesn't surprise me if it was Chicago.
It was Chicago, and it was the dullest machete attack in the history of machete attacks. There was
dull in terms of excitement or the blade?
Both.
Oh.
So I don't know where this person got their machete. I have a couple of machetes. This became a huge topic of discussion on the show years ago when I said that I at one time I had 3 machetes, and someone said, "What the hell do you need 3 machetes for? You only got 2 hands." I was like, well, you never know.
In case I drop one.
In case I drop one, maybe there's a friend who wants to machete some zombies or something or another. You never know when you're going to be attacked by a group of zombies, and you better have your machetes at the ready.
Your arsenal is actually pretty impressive. That little handheld nuclear device that you have.
Got to do what you got to do.
Recreational nukes, baby. Let's do it.
Got to do what you got to do. So, no, in this video over the weekend in Chicago, this guy's got a machete, and I have a fear of being cut, and so anytime I watch a video like this, I think it affects all of us in this way, but for me, it's even more so. It's like, oh no, don't swing it, don't you do it. Well, this guy drops his machete. There's a fight going on. The cops are backing off. The guy picks the machete back up and swings at the other guy full on and just hits him on the arm. And nothing. It's like, that has to be the dullest machete on the face of the earth. What are you doing with your downtime, man? If you're going to have a machete, let's sharpen that thing. Let's get it nice to a nice razor's edge. No, whatever they're doing in Chicago, they're doing it wrong because Chicago is just gross. The Metro Nashville Police Department follows all law related to retention of LPR data and records, according to Nashville.gov. To answer the question from the previous caller, the Metro Nashville Police Department does not retain LPR data for more than 10 days unless it is evidence in a criminal offense, subject to properly issued warrants, subpoena, court order, or where the Metro Nashville Police Department has been instructed to preserve such data by the Metro Department of Law. It is the policy of the MNPD that it restricts and limits access to LPR database to only select employees who have completed training and passed background checks required to access criminal justice data. So there are many different measures that have been put into place on LPRs, and I'm wondering what the objections to LPRs are. We heard one objection just a moment ago. We'll get to David and Beverly and Chris in just a moment. It's 1:22 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy. You know, it can be hard to find somebody that you trust when it comes to the heating and air conditioning industry because there are a lot of people within said industry, and a lot of them just try to upsell you on getting a new unit. They make more money that way. You know who doesn't do that? Jeff Eddy doesn't do that. Efficient Heating and Cooling, they don't do that as well. They believe in getting the maximum life out of your unit because that is a part of the relationship that they put together when they first step onto your property. It's a relationship built on trust, and you can trust to Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling that if they tell you it's time to replace, it's time to replace. Otherwise, they're going to fix what ails your system and let you get on with your life with a reduced bill. They never charge overtime, speaking of reduction of bills, because they know that your heater doesn't know what time it is when it goes out, your AC neither, and so you shouldn't have to pay more because it's 7 o'clock at night. Secondarily, Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling, they keep their overhead low. They keep their invoices small. I mentioned the no overtime rates. They also offer free financing on your next unit if it comes time. A diamond contractor with Mitsubishi Electric, an elite pro partner with Rheem. It all adds up to one thing, folks. There's only one that I would recommend, and it's Efficient Heating and Cooling. Go to efficienthvac.net, efficienthvac.net, or call 615-784-4424, 784-4424 for Efficient. All right, so LPR conversation. The Metro Council in the city of Nashville agreed to allow for a full-fledged LPR or license plate reader program against the objection of some council members, like the newly elected mayor. Freddie O'Connell voted against this license plate reader technology, saying that we needed more study or something or another. According to the Metro Nashville Police Department and Nashville.gov, in asking some of these questions that we've been asking, they provide answers that the Metro Nashville Police Department does not utilize an LPR system that incorporates facial recognition technology, so they don't have any ability to know who's driving the vehicle. They have a two-prong verification system ensuring the accuracy of a hit. So the system takes a picture of the license plate, and I think they've gotten the remember they had a problem with the new plates and the reader technology, but I think they fixed that.
Yeah, they did.
So the reader takes a hit, goes through the system. If it comes back flagged, then an actual person reviews the information and makes sure that the hit is accurate before they allow to send out a unit to try to track down the car that was hit that potentially is a stolen vehicle or whatever it might be. Davidson County was divided into 4 quadrants based on population, a density layer for 2021-2022. and they utilized violent crime incident reports like homicide, rape, robbery, aggravated assault that was created. The police department then ensured all sites were located on major street corners, I suppose, as defined by the Nashville Next Major and Collector Street Plan. In other words, the decision where to put these readers was based on crime, not based on demographics, not based on the color of anybody's skin, based on crime. I think these are good things. Beverly is next in Gallatin with perhaps a different perspective. Hey, Beverly, hope you're well.
Hey there. Hey.
Hello, Beverly.
Hi. I have a little different perspective.
Oh, I'm glad. Thank you.
If you travel north or south on I-65, a federal highway, through Louisville, Kentucky, and cross their really nice new bridge there, if you don't have a pass within 4 to 6 weeks of the time you've crossed that bridge, north or south, you get a picture of the rear view of your car and your license plates, and a demand for $6 for having used their precious bridge. Now, in Kentucky and Indiana's defense, there's a couple of warning signs, like interstate signs, telling you that you're going to be crossing this bridge and paying a toll if you don't get off. But when you're in heavy traffic in a strange city on an interstate with traffic swirling all around you alone, it's hard to factor all of that in. But within 4 to 6 weeks of arrival home, you will get a notice that there will be penalties if you don't pay this $6 each time you cross their bridge.
So, forgive me, I don't have any prior knowledge of there's a toll bridge.
Yeah, but it's on a federal highway on I-65.
Right.
Going north and south, connecting Indiana and Kentucky.
So it's a little bit of a different subject, but I'm glad you brought it up. The idea of whether or not it should be permissible for governments to be able to institute toll areas on interstate highways.
Yeah. Now I've gotten where I have someone riding shotgun with me frequently when I go north to visit my aunt, and she figures a route off and back on 65 so that we don't cross that bridge. But I feel it's unfair taxation, unrepresented taxation. Nobody asked me to vote on it.
Well, I mean, and not that I'm defending the practice, but I would argue that no one's forcing you to drive on it either.
Well, it's true. But you know, we don't tax people for coming and going in Nashville. You don't mail in a pass for a year to use our bridge across I-65 or I-40 or I-24 into Nashville.
There was I had one of these experiences on my motorcycle trip. My brother and I went across. We went across the ferry in Mobile Bay, and the ferry costs money, in order to go across the bay, and so we paid our $7 and crossed over the ferry. But there was a bridge that you had to pay for too, that we eventually crossed over during that trip. That I think it was $3 or $4 extra. That if you go the other way around, it takes an extra hour or something like that. It was annoying, but we pay it and move on.
Yeah, well, the way around this bridge in Louisville is not that much further around, and it's very scenic. So it's not that unpleasant. It's just annoying that, you can't, as a single person, travel and plan your slingshot trip straight up and straight back with...
Well, and they justify it by saying that, and several super texters have noticed this, Beverly, that the state of Kentucky voted on the bridge. But I get your point that it's an interstate system of travel, and you and I didn't get to vote on that bridge.
No.
Well, I'm glad you called and brought it up. It's another aspect to the to this concept of travel, a little bit different than the LPRs, but a great point nonetheless. Thank you, Beverly, for making it. It's 1:33 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Defense Systems is a life safety and security consultation firm specializing in physical security consultation and active violence mitigation training. That is a fancy way of saying they keep you safer in your business, they keep you safer in your church, they keep you safer in your school. Their clients include places like schools, corporations, healthcare facilities, law firms, manufacturing facilities, corporate headquarters, and much, much more. As a matter of fact, Cumulus Nashville utilized this training for our personnel, I guess about a year and a half ago now. That's where I met Brink Fiddler. I was so impressed with his program that I said, I've got to tell more people about this. And I now do. And they provide custom protection solutions unique to your particular location, unique to your particular security issues. They've trained well over 30 Middle Tennessee schools. It's far beyond that at this point. That's about a year-old information. Their training is far more than simply checking that box for your employer. You'll truly be giving your employees life skills that apply not only in the workplace but outside of it as well. So if active violence mitigation is something that concerns you, I like to tell you that hope is not a plan. It is time to get trained. Let's get trained with Defense Systems. Go to defensesystems.com or 236-6484. 236-6484 for my friend Brink Fiddler and Defense Systems, or online at defensesystems.com. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. $6 billion seems like a lot of money, and I understand that we want our American citizens home safe and sound, but my goodness gracious, you're giving that over to a state sponsor of terrorism, and I promise you they will do something to make the world a less safe place as a result. We'll discuss it in the final hour of the show. Also, Donald Trump and the issue of abortion. You know the old phrase, dog catches car? What happens when the dog catches the car? Those of us, and I consider myself among your number, although I think we'll probably argue this point in a slightly different way. We've been arguing that Roe v. Wade was an awfully decided case for years. My point was always simply that it is not a matter for the federal government to decide. It is a matter for the states to decide, these 50 separate state experiments. Well, the dog finally caught the car, and a lot of conservatives don't know what to do with it. They don't know what to do. Because now that we've gotten what we've always said we wanted, and that is a reversion back to the states, you see a variety of difference of opinion regarding abortion and the states. But now, for many of us, that's not enough. We have to go to the next level, and that includes a federal ban. Donald Trump was asked about this over the weekend, and I'll tell you what he said. And by the way, Trump is right. Trump is right. Trump is right. Donald Trump is right. That this issue can come back to bite you on the tuchus if you let it. I understand the principled stand that most of us take on the issue of abortion, but I also believe that handled incorrectly, it's a political loser. That doesn't mean I'm not for abortion when I say that. There's two different sets of analyses. One on the issue itself, the other on the politics of the issue itself. More on that coming up after we finish the discussion about LPRs, which we're doing right now. Who's been holding the longest? I think it's Chris in the borough. Chris, thank you for your patience. How are you, sir?
Chris, how you doing, my friend? How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing well. What's on your mind?
Your license plate readers.
All right.
I love it. I'm in full support. I listened to your show. I've been listening to you today on the way home, and I'm like, I got to call because, I'm on his team, support our law enforcement. I don't see any good reason to vote against it. Give me some examples. I know there's criteria. You were mentioning examples of the criteria. You can turn a yard out of an inch. You stop if the license plate reader works. You pull a car over and it's stolen, but you might find a kidnapping victim. You might find something referenced your Amber Alert you were talking about. Your Silver Alert. So there's a lot of good that can come from it. I think anybody that's in disagreement with it, they don't want it. These are probably people that don't like police. They don't like law enforcement. They want to do the crime, not get noticed. They don't want to get detected. So that's my stance. I just want to call and tell you I'm on your team with that, man. I hope they do go through with it.
Well, and some of the arguments against, I've heard the argument from a civil libertarian standpoint, and thank you, Chris, for the call this afternoon. I just disagree with that. I do not believe that there's an expectation of privacy on the public roads. And if you are to disagree from a civil libertarian standpoint with LPRs, then I would think that you would disagree with the license plates more broadly. Seriously. Your license plate is there to identify and associate the vehicle with the individual that registered the vehicle to drive on the roads. So based on that level of association, the police have every right to look at the plate and run the plate to make sure that the car's on the up and up. Why would you deny them technology that could give them the ability to do that more rapidly? It's like a radar detector. But the most confusing argument against license plate readers came from the Advisory Council, the Community Oversight Board of the City of Nashville, when they said, our city works best when everyone can feel safe and participate. but massive data gathering and surveillance can only serve to erode trust and disproportionately target black and brown communities. What? It then went on to reference the Community Oversight Board's report that LPRs were disproportionately surveilling majority black and low-income areas of the city during the trial period. According to District 30 Council member Sandra Sepulveda, it was correctly stated that ICE does not need a warrant to go and access data, she said. We're deciding to move forward on this when we have no protections for immigrants, no protections for minorities. I want you to sit with that and think about it. Sit with your privilege and reflect with what it means for some of us. This is the potential separation of families, the potential separation of people who've been here a very long time, who've only known this as home. So they're basically saying that the Immigrations and Customs Enforcement will use the LPR data to try to round up immigrants, illegal aliens, which is not true. Secondarily, I don't understand what the city of Nashville wants. Do you want to go to the high crime areas and eliminate crime or not? And if it so happens that the higher crime areas are a black majority population, does that mean that you don't want police to go in there and stop the crime? Well, who's having the crimes committed against them? It's the black population that lives in those areas. So the police are there to serve that black population and to reduce the criminal element over there. But so many of these counselors are suggesting that it is somehow racist to offer a more vigorous patrol of some of the areas that are of the highest crime rates. Well, that doesn't make any sense at all. The same people, if they get what they want, some of these people, they're never going to be satisfied, and they just bludgeon us to death with these racial components of these issues. So you're saying, how dare you disproportionately patrol these areas? They are black majority. You're doing it because you're racist. Well, if the city of Nashville decided to pull their police out of those areas and take their hands off of those areas and the crime rates would spike as a result, the same people who claimed racism would claim racism again. Why aren't you patrolling the black communities? It's racist. If you live in a nicer neighborhood where you don't see these types of crimes committed, why would we commit the resources to patrol those areas with those crimes in mind if they're not happening over there? Why don't you go to where the crime is? And that's what the LPRs give the police the ability to do. David is next in the borough. Hey, David, thank you for calling. How are you?
I'm doing good, Matt. How you doing?
I'm well. What's on your mind?
Well, I'm actually from Hendersonville, and we have those same readers in Hendersonville, and they are catching people all the time, young thugs coming into Hendersonville, stealing people's cars, or they steal a car in Nashville, and they come to Hendersonville to commit their crimes, and they get caught. That's one thing I can say about Hendersonville is if you do a crime, they will get you, period. And I don't have a problem with them. They can read my plate every time. The lady that called in about the Louisville bridge, taking a picture of them, her tags, been there. I lived there for over 20 years. I didn't know that they had done that. There's 3 bridges going across the river there that you can take. And
yes, she was making reference to the one toll bridge, right?
The one toll bridge. And you can actually see one of the bridges that you can cross that's right next to the toll bridge. They use that bridge to set the fireworks off there. And you told a little story about a police officer pulling you over and thinking you were somebody else. I had that exact same thing happen to me in Elizabethtown, Kentucky. And the photo was the only thing that only reason they knew I was the wrong person. But it happened the exact same way you did.
Yeah, it was, for me, I don't know about you, David, but for me, I mean, there was a minute there that I thought, my goodness, am I going to have to go to jail to prove I am who I say I am? Luckily, we got to handle it on the scene. I hope that was the case for you as well. On the super text line, the caller is spot on. Hendersonville PD is amazing. He's exactly right about Hendersonville. I watched in real time an alert come up from one of those cameras, and then the police officer was able to intercept stolen car or something. We're keeping criminals out of our city. 4269 has a different perspective. Matt, you can't let them have all the fun because they're in the hood. That's a perspective on some of the higher crime areas in the city of Nashville. You are ignoring, and Dan writes in, you're ignoring what they actually do with the data storage, data mining, AI models, third-party proliferation, federal, state, local political surveillance, leaks, hacks. Just look at these other cities in this other countries, i.e. the UK. Well, I understand that the surveillance state is potentially a problem, but all I can do is rely on the information provided by the Metro Nashville Police Department as to how long they store the information and what they do with it. And they claim that they do not associate the information, the vehicle tag information, with facial recognition technology. Secondarily, they only keep it for 10 days. I mean, you either believe them or you don't. If you don't believe them, obviously you want to eliminate the program. If you do believe them, well, then we can debate whether or not the program is effective enough to justify whatever modicum of a violation of our privacy rights that you might consider this to be. And then 5198 writes, so Matt, what's next? Stop an ID? What about due process? Or do we not need that because we can trust the government? Well, I don't trust the government as far as I can throw the government, and I couldn't throw the government an inch. Government's too big and heavy. Big, heavy, doesn't have any handles on it. Walking around with the government on your shoulders, kind of like walking around with a grudge. That said, this is not that. You've already agreed into a system by which you allow an identification of your vehicle on the roadways through a license plate. If you want to argue that that is a violation of your civil liberties, then we're arguing a different thing. We're arguing against license plates, not license plate readers. 615-737-9986. Good conversation. I'm enjoying it. Hope you are as well on this Monday edition of The Murphy Show. Let us, you and I, talk about Paul Winkler and everything he's doing for our community. You hear Paul on the weekends on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I've heard him for years talk about financial planning. Paul's name kept coming up when I discussed a financial planner for me and my family. Now, Paul's done a radio show on this radio station for over 20 years. I've done one for about 2 years. We got together about 2 years ago, and Paul and I decided to link arms and help him send the message out about financial investment, doing it the right way. So I'm paid when this commercial airs, right? I'm incentivized to say nice things about Paul because Paul pays me to do that. But here's the bottom line is I'm legally obligated to tell you that, but I'm not obligated to be a client of Paul Winkler's. However, I am a client because he provides evidence-based information. He provides me an education every single time I sit down and talk with him, and he can do the same for you. How about a free 15-minute telephone conversation right now? Go to paulwinkler.com to set that up. That's paulwinkler.com, or better yet, 615-851-1950, 851-1950. For my friend Paul Winkler, paulwinkler.com. Super Talk 99.7 WTN 157, almost 158. Good afternoon. Glad you're with us. So it's National Cheeseburger Day. We will officially peel the label off this thing at 2:35, and I will allow you to offer all suggestions on where to go. Where was we had a super texter, several super texters talking about some place called the Pharmacy.
The Pharmacy, yeah. And I've never heard of that before, but that was one that had a lot of different people saying that they had the best burger.
You've lost a good amount of weight over the last year.
Yeah.
I've lost a couple of pounds myself. Would you cheat with National Cheeseburger Day right here, right in front of us?
Yeah, I'm thinking I would.
I mean, if it was, yeah. It's a good thing that nobody's bringing in cheeseburgers right now, because I would pound one. Would absolutely pound one. Yeah. But maybe we'll take some suggestions in the next hour. Right now, I want to finish up the LPR conversation because a lot of you want to weigh in on this. Scott's in Nashville, next up on it. Hey, Scott, how are you?
Hi, good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
On the license plate reader, a while back, somebody with the same make and model vehicle stole a car out of another county, found my vehicle, switched out the plates, and I got pulled over going through Belmead, drawn out of the car at gunpoint and held until they could figure that the VIN number didn't match. Well, the VIN number matched my registration, but not that plate.
My God.
So if you can lock down your license plate, you got to lock them down.
Well, hold on for just a second, Scott, because that story is so dynamic. The music started right in the background as you were telling it. That's incredible. So, Scott had his license plate. We'll get more details on it in just a moment, plus your calls as well. Right now, it's news time with Mac Maury, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hang in there, one more hour to go.
Two o'clock, I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. Got a complete weather forecast coming up along the way. Right now, going to be a mainly sunny and clear week. Currently 78 degrees on Music Row. Complete weather forecast, 2 minutes. 5 Americans have been freed from Iranian custody today in a deal that has sparked criticism. The detained U.S. citizens include an oil executive, a businessman, and a conservationist. Karen Travers has the latest from President Biden.
President Biden on Monday morning held what the White House called an emotional phone call with the families of the American citizens returning home from Iran. The White House says the plane carrying the Americans has left Doha, Qatar. They're now traveling en route to the Washington, D.C. area to be reunited with their families. In a statement Monday, the president celebrated their release, saying they had endured years of, quote, agony, uncertainty, and suffering, but are now finally coming home.
Right now in Tennessee, a memorial has now been set up where the German Shepherd was shot and killed last week at Percy Warner Park in Nashville. That shooting happened on Wednesday. The shooter said he's scared of dogs and that the German Shepherd approached him aggressively while chasing a squirrel, which prompted him to fire his weapon 3 times at the dog. Outside Houston, parents slammed for bad behavior at a youth football game yesterday. Shoots rang out, and here's details from Rosie Nguyen in Richmond, Texas.
Investigators say a man was grazed by a bullet and taken to the hospital for treatment. We're also told that someone assaulted a teen, leaving them with injuries. According to the Fort Bend Youth Football League's executive board, a number of parents got into several fights, leading to one of them pulling out a gun and firing shots. In a statement, the league wrote in part, quote, "We want to extend our sincerest apologies to the families who were victims of bad behavior of a few adults."
And no word yet on whether charges will be filed. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
I strongly recommend at Savory Spice, you get the Alderwood smoked sea salt. And when you're making your burgers tonight for National Cheeseburger Day, you can sprinkle some of that incredible Alderwood smoked sea salt. I mean, it's a flavored salt, so good. I mean, it's one of my, if not the favorite thing that they serve at Savory Spice. And there are a lot of favorite things at Savory Spice. Let's talk about it. Savory Spice is your one-stop shop for all things spices. They've got salts, they've got peppers, they've got spices, they've got blends, they've got just anything you could possibly imagine. They've got sprinkle for your popcorn or for other items. They've got it at Savory Spice. And you up your food game by upping your spice game. I love that, when people get of a certain age, they don't want, the cheapest cut of meat. They want a better cut of meat. They want something better to put on the grill or something better to put in their bodies. Well, with that, you should pick better spices as well. You up your food game by upping your spice game. You up your spice game at Savory Spice. There's so many different spices that I could tell you about. Just go by and see them for yourselves. You'll smell it before you see it, and when you see it, you'll buy it. Holly, David, and the gang at Savory Spice want to see you. Savory Spice, 2 locations, one L&L Market off Charlotte Pike. The other's in Franklin, just off the square next to Gray's Pharmacy. When you walk in, tell them Matt Murphy sent you to the one and only Savory Spice. Yes, indeedy. Hour number 3 starts right now. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We anticipate a visit with Brian Wilson later on to find out what's happening in the drive. He's coming up at 3 o'clock this afternoon. We'll visit with you from now until then, 615-737-9986. It is a fun-filled and fast-paced Monday edition. Although, I got to tell you, the news of the day, I mean, there's an awful story, the ambush police officer out in California. We got that going on. Donald Trump sat down with Meet the Press. Apparently, there's a new host of Meet the Press. I don't watch Meet the Depressed. So I'm assuming that F. Chuck Todd was still the ringleader of Meet the Press, or Meet the Depressed, as Rush used to call them. I assume he was still the ringleader until this person took over. Donald Trump chooses to agree to go on programs like this, and he apparently did so over the weekend and had a few things to say about abortion and some other matters. We'll discuss at some point over the course of this hour. Border Patrol and immigration, how are those sanctuary cities working for you if you're a Democrat? Sanctuary cities didn't work, haven't worked. I love the fact that they change the rules as the game moves forward with regard to immigration, Border Patrol, and whatnot. There was a story out there. Hold on, I've lost it now. That, here it is. Border Patrol, the Biden administration wagged their finger at Donald Trump and the Trump administration, or the Biden people, the Democrats and the Biden campaign, not administration. The Biden campaign wagged their finger at Donald Trump over the Trump administration policy of separating adults from children upon arrival at the border to make sure that these adults were the parents that they claim to be of the kids. And we know that a lot of times they are not. They are mules or whatever. Well, new court documents now claim the Border Patrol temporarily separated migrant families this summer, a practice that Joe Biden called abhorrent. In a Friday court filing, Dr. Paul Wise, a pediatrician tasked with monitoring the conditions and treatment of migrant children in the United States at the border, said that he found children as young as 8 were separated from their parents by the Biden administration. So you have liberal Democrats engaging in sanctuary cities until such time as they actually get overrun with immigrants, like New York City. Democrats loved sanctuary cities until they actually got immigrants in them. And then they're like, hold on a second. We're going to need some extra federal money, or we need the Biden administration. I mean, Eric Adams in New York City is the easiest example. We're a sanctuary city, and we believe in protecting human beings from being exploited. Oh, wait, you're actually sending some here? Oh, in that case, we can't have that. Their city's being overrun. Suddenly, sanctuary city status doesn't sound so good, right? Well, these same Democrats we're shocked and appalled that the Trump administration would be separating parents and families from their youngsters, their children. Well, the Obama administration did it as well. That's not the point. It's actually been a practice that has been regularly used for years with the Border Patrol, because the Border Patrol is not going to take it at the word of an individual that they are the parent of a child when they have no documentation on them to prove that they are, especially considering the amount of human smuggling that goes on the southern border. It's ridiculous. So we got that story going on. Plus, the rules of the Senate have been changed. You can now wear shorts and hoodies on the floor of the United States Senate if you're a sitting senator, which I expect that Senator Bill Hagerty and Senator Marsha Blackburn will immediately do. I mean,
I want to reiterate my challenge to both of them to wear a Motley Crue T-shirt in the Senate. Well,
can we go? Can I expand that challenge to any hairband? I don't want to limit the challenge to just Motley Crue.
I want it to be Motley Crue.
Yeah, but what if
they come on this show all the time? If they have any faith in us and they believe in our show, they will wear a Motley Crue T-shirt on the Senate floor so that I can say I got Motley Crue onto the Senate floor.
What about Cinderella?
No.
What about Night Ranger?
No, they weren't even a hairband.
Night Ranger was a hairband.
No, they were not.
Oh, Bell.
You don't want to argue with me on this.
I most certainly do.
You do not.
Rat
was hairband.
But Rat's not good enough. It's got to be the Crew.
Got to be the Crew. Motley Crue.
I don't know a whole lot about hairbands, but Night Ranger sure does look like they got a lot of hair.
Night Ranger McMorey is a hairband. Bell doesn't know what he's talking about.
I know exactly what
Since the question of the time has come. You could pay me $1,000 and I couldn't name you another Night Ranger song.
Don't tell me you love me.
Nope. I will not tell you I love you.
I just told you not to. Pay attention.
Well, I mean, I'm telling you, I don't know a name of another song. I don't know what me loving you has anything to do with this. You would know, Bell. I would think. I mean, Mac, you got the picture up, right?
Yeah.
Hairband, right?
No.
I mean, again,
come on, man.
Wasn't alive in the 80s, but this has got to be it. And I just looked up the definition, and I feel like that's it.
It's not it.
How about Twisted Sister?
Yes.
I mean, I understand Twisted Sister is a hairband. I'm asking if they would be acceptable for Marsha or Bill to wear.
No. It's got to be Motley Crue.
Does it have to be Shout at the Devil, or can we go girls?
Yeah, we can go girls or Dr. Feelgood.
Okay. All right, I'll do what I can. I've got influence over there, especially with the Blackburn.
I know people from their offices are listening, so you guys need to get on this.
And it's you outside of Rachel, and I don't think. Wait, Rachel says that Night Ranger is not a hairband. What do you know about hairbands, Rachel? Come on. I think they need to wear a mugshot hoodie. I don't know what that means, but I'll agree with you.
Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well. there you go. That makes sense. Okay.
You got it.
Thank you. I got you. All right. Final thoughts on LPR. Scott was talking about LPRs, and Scott was telling an incredible story. I extended the conversation because Rose and James are out there, and Scott's out there as well. And, Scott, I did not want to rush you in this, but you said that you got pulled over. So let me make sure I've got the story right. So someone stole a car that was the same style and model of your car. And then that person located your car and stole your license plate.
Correct.
So what happened after that? Because I'm a little bit confused about when you recognized your license plate was stolen, did you call that in? What happened?
No, I didn't notice. I don't look at my license plate all the time, so I had no idea. I was cutting through Belmead, and I guess it pinged on one of their radar detectors, and
as a stolen vehicle.
As a stolen vehicle, same make, model, stolen plates. Pulled me over, brought me out, at gunpoint, put me in the back of a police car until we were able to figure out that it was just the license plate that had been switched.
Oh, I see. So whoever had their car stolen reported their car stolen with their plate. So when this person swapped out your license plate, they put the stolen plate on your car.
Correct.
Oh, okay. Correct. That makes sense. Okay, I've got you. Well, obviously that's a pretty traumatic experience. And I'm going to ask you this question, Scott, and I'm not trying to diminish what you went through, but I mean, all in all, was it an okay experience, at least in terms of them figuring out what happened on the scene? I know that it's traumatizing if police are going to pull their guns at you.
Yeah, we after we figured it out, of course they let me out and uncuffed me, and we talked about it, and they asked me how long ago did I last look at my license plate, and I was like, I have no idea. That stolen plate could have been on there for weeks or days. I'm not sure.
Right.
But now they gave me a misdemeanor for possession of stolen property, and I did have to go get that taken care of.
What? Wait a minute. That's the worst part of this story. They cited you with a misdemeanor?
Yep, for having stolen plates on my vehicle.
Did they catch the guy that stole your plates?
No, the stolen vehicle came from Dixon. I contacted Dixon to let them know that maybe my plates are running around, and I never heard back from anybody about anything. I got mine dismissed and went on about my life.
Well, I hate that happened to you. I mean, does that put a bad taste in your mouth on license plate readers, or maybe a good one, or neutral?
Neutral. You need to lock down your license plate. And I never thought about that, but you can buy these special bolts where somebody can't take it off.
Mm-hmm.
But if they can steal a car, they can steal a license plate and switch it out, and then you're the one getting pulled over. And even a more hideous crime, if they committed a murder, they can swap out plates with another vehicle, and then you're getting pulled over by accident, police thinking you committed this crime.
Well, and it's good advice on your part, Scott, because while your situation, ultimately turned out okay, absent, some mild trauma while they're, handcuffing you, with a different set of circumstances, if someone reacts differently to the police pulling them over, it could end in tragedy. That's a big deal.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right, man. I appreciate the story. I'm glad that worked out. Let's finish up the conversation about license plate readers before we move on. James is in Hermitage. Hey, James, how are you?
I'm doing well, sir. Thank you for taking my call.
Of course.
I had an issue like you had happen when I was in basic training in the military in Fort Sill, Oklahoma. And the MPs came and took me away, and they figured out the guy had a different Social Security number. But I was scared out of my mind pretty much.
So they thought you were someone. They thought you were someone that you obviously weren't.
Yeah, I had the same name and a different initial like you do, but they didn't have the Social Security number or anything like that, so they just assumed it was me.
Man, oh man, yeah, it is frightening until they get it worked out. Thankfully, like I mentioned in my case, James, they went to page 2 where they saw all of the facial tattoos.
And the LPR thing, it does work. Mount Juliet catches stolen cars almost every day.
I mean, the system works. I mean, the only argument against the system has been one of a racial nature, and I just dismiss that for Nashville. Why wouldn't we put LPRs where the stolen property is being found? Why would we not go to where the crime is? One final thought on this, and we'll wrap it up. Rose is in Hendersonville. Thank you for holding, Rose. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm wonderful.
Well, my story is a little bit different. It's kind of about the toll bridge. I mean, I got the paper in the mail from Texas, and it had my license plates on it, and said I owed $32 because I'd been on these toll roads or bridges in Dallas. And if you know anything about that, it's a lot of traffic. And I never knew when or where I got on and off toll bridges at all. So I got this bill, and I didn't remember even going there. But I thought, well, this is some sort of joke. Somebody's just, taking pictures of your license plate and puts it on some sort of official-looking paper and sends it to you and wants you to send in the money. Well, then I didn't send in the money, so then I got charged a $10 late fee, and then I got charged a $25 late fee. So then I started calling and saying, are y'all, legit or whatever? And they were like, yeah, we're legit. So my bill got up to $67, within 2 months I don't even know. They've given me all these little places where I was on toll bridges or toll roads for like 3 seconds here. They're like $3 charge, $2 charge, $1.88, $3, $2. So you're on and off these roads and don't even know you're on them. And I paid it, and I got a deduction because I had to go. If I bought the toll tag, then it was $11 was taken off. So I ended up paying $52 for these toll bridges that I never even, or toll roads that I never even knew I was on.
You said this is in the Dallas area?
Yeah, in the Dallas area.
I've never been, I've driven in the Northeast. I've driven all across this great country of ours. I've never been on more confusing interstate highways than in Dallas, Texas.
Right. And even, and my son, I think, was the one that was actually driving. And he's been living there for a while. He said, Mama, if you get something, and I forgot about it, but he said, he said, we don't know when we get on and off these roads. And Atlanta has some, and I got a ticket there, but I remember that one because I thought, I'm going on this toll road. But, the old days, you used to go on a toll road, and you knew when you were getting on it, and you would throw in the coins or the money, and they had toll booths where you paid getting on and off. Well, nowadays, they're not marked like that. They're just...
Well, because they have LPRs. They don't have to. I mean, they're pretty marked, though. I would suggest... I've gotten confused in the past, too. I got confused just outside of Washington, D.C. fairly recently with a toll road that I thought I was getting off the toll road, and I was actually getting on the toll road, and you get the thing, and you pay it. But, Rose, thank you for the call. I'm sorry that I have to, but I've got to scoot along. 6436 says, why the hell are people confusing toll bridges with LPRs? I don't think there's a confusion there. I think it's an extension of the conversation. Because nowadays, like Rose just said, used to be, back in our day, Mac Maury, gather around your radio and let Grandpa Murphy tell you how things used to be. You see, we used to pull up to a toll booth and talk to a human being who would take our 2 bits and allow us on our way on the wagon train of life. Nowadays, it doesn't happen that way. You ever gone on a toll road?
Yeah.
Yeah? Throw your coin. You have to throw your coins in, or you just let the thing read your plate?
Yeah, my coins. I don't throw my 2 bits.
Nah.
My coins, yeah.
Yeah, $28 nowadays, man. It's a lot of money.
For real.
Yeah, it's a substantial amount of cash. I don't think people are confusing or mistaking toll bridge. I just think because they use LPRs now, like the SunPass technology in Florida. I used I've never bought a SunPass in my life, but I used those lanes when we were down in Florida the last time we were down there. And just whenever the bill comes in, it's not a ticket, it's a bill. I mean, that's what they're going to do for these choice lanes in Tennessee. When we have choice lanes in Tennessee, you can go to the choice lane anytime you want. They're going to use LPR technology. I mean, whether you like this or not, this is what's coming. They'll use LPR technology, and if you're in that lane, they're going to take a capture of that, and they don't care who's driving that car, who's responsible for that car is the person it's registered to, and they will send a bill to that person, and it's a third-party deal. You have to pay it, or I don't know what happens if you don't pay it, actually.
You didn't finish your thought. You threw the bill away.
What bill?
From the SunPass.
Yeah, I did. That's true.
You just tossed it and went about your day.
I did. Because what are they going to do?
They're going to come arrest you and extradite you to Florida.
Yeah, what are they going to come and get me and extradite me and put me in SunPass court? Yeah, I don't think so. Good luck with
How much was the bill?
Yeah, it was like $24, something like that.
So is that like $6 more expensive than if you had just paid the fee?
Here was the calculus that I made, Bell. When's the next time I want to go to Florida again? I mean, screw Florida. Actually, I was in Florida on my motorcycle trip, now that I think about it.
That's a good thing you didn't get pulled over.
615-737-9986. We will get an update from Mac Maury, whether he likes it or not, as to where the hell is this F-35 missing jet. More on that in a moment on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
A stealth jet still missing in the States. Hunter Biden files a lawsuit. Plus, crime in California. That and more. 2:30 Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Some on the super text line want a Grandpa Murphy segment now. We'll see what we can do. By the way, Mac Maury, I'm not putting up with this. You know I want an update on this F-35. And are you actually going to make me wait another 3 minutes? Is that what you're doing?
No, we can talk about it now if you'd like.
So it's still missing?
Yeah, still missing.
Well, here's what I don't understand about this story. And I know you and Han talked about it quite a bit earlier today on Super Talk 99.7 WTN and the Chris Han Show. So this the pilot of the plane ejected. Do we know why the pilot of the plane ejected?
So basically, they keep just calling this what happened yesterday a mishap.
That's
just what is that?
What does that mean? That's exactly where I was going. Mishap.
When a pilot
that was a little bit of a mishap.
A plane that's a mishap?
What, he poop his pants? You crap your pants. That's a mishap.
That's a mishap. Oops, stubbed my toe. That's a mishap.
Right. You eject out of an $80 million aircraft. That's more than a mishap. I mean,
they confirmed Sunday's mishap. Oh, they confirmed it. That's good.
I'm just yeah, but sure, we're flying at 35 steps. I think I just hit the eject. That's a mishap. Maybe he bumped the eject thing. I mean, it's a mishap. So the last known position of the plane, we think it's in a lake somewhere.
Yep.
Huh. Well, there you go.
Because it would have run out of fuel right now. At this point, it's not flying anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's not in the air. It's not. This is not a balloon. This is not a Biden balloon. We're dealing with but there's so many questions. I don't know that we have the answers to many of these questions. Maybe we'll get some of them at the bottom of the Gower News with Mac Maury. But my question is, what kind of mishap? It's my understanding, and the next time I pilot an F whatever will be the first time that I've piloted an F whatever. Okay. So I'm not suggesting that I have any intelligence about this subject whatsoever. But my basic God-given common sense indicates to me that the only time a pilot should eject from their aircraft is if that aircraft is in imminent danger of going down, like right now. So tell me what would cause a pilot to eject from their aircraft and there's an autopilot that's still going on or whatever.
Can you imagine having to be that pilot the next time he goes into a mess hall and he's hanging out with his other friends? Like, really, you had to hit the button, huh?
You dope.
None of us have lost a plane like that.
Watch out. Joel's here. Might be a mishap. I mean, mishap. It reminds me of the scene in The Right Stuff. If you've not seen the fabulous feature film The Right Stuff, it's one of my all-time top 10 favorites, where just before Gordo Cooper is sitting with Gus Grissom in the bar, and he said, you just make sure you don't screw the old pooch there, bud. And they put one of the little capsules, he dunks it in his drink, which is a foreshadowing of what happened to Gus Grissom when he accidentally sank the capsule because he exploded the explosive bolts that had never exploded before and then pretended that he didn't. Gus Grissom had a mishap. It was a mishap. It can happen. Mishap. $80 million mishap for our F-35. This is the Biden administration, folks. Yeah, balloons
Hey, he
flying
signed
overhead.
that plane out. He was responsible for it. Time for some remuneration.
Yeah, for some personal accountability. We're gonna have to work this out. We're gonna take $15 out of your paycheck every week
for the rest of your life
until you pay that $80 million back. $80 million for a plane. That's just numbers that we can't possibly understand. 231. These are numbers that I understand. That means it's time for news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.231, I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. Currently 78 degrees, partly sunny in Nashville. Got a full weather forecast headed your way in 2 minutes. Civilian and military agencies are looking for a missing fighter jet in South Carolina. You just heard Matt Murphy talking about it. Jim Ryan reports on the unfolding mystery.
If you happen to find a state-of-the-art F-35B Lightning II, the commander of Joint Base Charleston would like to hear from you. The staff there has posted on X that the $122 million aircraft was involved in what it calls a mishap on Sunday. The pilot, though, managed to eject safely. The search for the missing fighter jet is focused on the area around Lake Marion between Charleston and Columbia, South Carolina.
They say the mishap currently still under investigation. And Hunter Biden has filed a lawsuit in a Washington, D.C. federal court against the Internal Revenue Service over alleged unlawful disclosures made by a pair of whistleblowers who accused government prosecutors of mishandling their investigation into the president's son. Investigators trying to figure out why a 29-year-old man who's now under arrest allegedly ambushed and killed an L.A. County Sheriff's deputy on Saturday night. Alex Stone.
An emotional Los Angeles County Sheriff announcing the arrest of accused deputy killer Kevin Salazar, a 29-year-old who investigators focused in on after tips came in. He was arrested following an hours-long standoff. Sheriff Robert Luna saying it's unknown if Deputy Ryan Klinkenbroomer was targeted because he was law enforcement, but that it's a risk all police know is out there.
And in this case, Ryan's family will never see him again.
Salazar is now booked into jail as investigators work on a motive for the killing.
And that is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy for the world-famous Glock store. Let me tell you, it's big, it's bright, it's 35,000 square feet. They've got dedicated tactical shooting rooms. They specialize, obviously, in Glock handguns, but you probably already know that because of the name. You know, the world-famous Glock store, but they have so many other handguns. They have so many other long guns. They have accessories. They have performance parts. They've got tungsten guide rods. They've got pyramid triggers. They've got extended controls, and they will install them for you while you wait for free if you buy them at the Glock store. You know, I've never met a more helpful or supportive staff. And let me tell you, I've gone to a lot of gun stores in my life. Maybe you've gone to a lot as well. And if you have, you've maybe noticed that sometimes you get the attitude of if you don't quite know what you're doing or if you don't quite know what questions to ask, they kind of give you the, oh, you don't belong here type of thing. You never get that at the world-famous Glock store. They are helpful folks. Whether you know a tremendous amount about guns or nothing, you'll be amazed at how helpful the Glock store staff will be. They have military in their background, law enforcement. They do competition shooting. They don't try to sell you the hard sell at all in any aspect of their business. They're simply there to provide the service to you that you Second Amendment lovers believe in. The world-famous Glock store. Go to glockstore.com or shoot270.com for more information. And when you swing in, just announce to the heavens that Matt Murphy sent you to the world-famous Glock store. When it comes to health, there are some numbers that every man needs to know. You need to know your cholesterol. You need to know your blood pressure. You need to know your T levels. At the Tennessee Men's Clinic, they make it easy for you to know all of those numbers because less than $100 will get you an appointment. You'll visit with a specialist. They'll sit down with you and talk to you about your energy levels and where you've been, your motivation, your drive, if you feel sluggish or run down, if you've been feeling tired and or grumpy, if you've noticed a weight gain or loss of muscle mass, if you've had a decrease in your sex drive over the last several months and you need to know what to do to get back to the right way of living, then go to the Tennessee Men's Clinic. They specialize in men's health. Call 615-208-9090 for an appointment today. It's as simple as making that appointment. Did you know, for example, most men wait years before they deal with some of this. Do not lose years of your life. Get back to life with a visit to Tennessee Men's Clinic. Like I say, when it comes to your health, there are numbers that you need to know. And if you don't know, get to know Tennessee Men's Clinic. Go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com or 615-208-9090, 208-9090. You know what I just got? I just got a text message from my wife telling me that she has just returned from, guess where, Belle? Guess where?
The grocery store.
The pharmacy.
Oh, the actual farm. The place we were talking about.
The place that we've been told is a delicious burger.
Did she get a burger?
I think she did.
Did she review it in the text?
Not yet. Let's see. Man, she's had quite a day. She went with some friends to Big Bad Breakfast.
So this is completely unrelated to the show. She had plans to go there already? Or?
I don't. She said, I got it. I don't know if she was listening to the show or not. I got this message at 2:25. She said, please get your W-2 because we delayed filing our taxes and now we got to file our taxes. But please get your W-2. Also, I got a cheeseburger from the pharmacy for lunch, and it was delicious. That's the review. It was delicious.
She's not really prone to hyperbole either. At least in my experience.
I'm just gonna stay away from it. Best burger in town though. I'll open up the phone lines and open up the super text line outside of the pharmacy because I'm getting a lot of the pharmacy, but then I got a couple of the pharmacy is overrated. I don't know what to make of that.
Yeah, I saw that too. They're just haters.
So plus, if you have any ideas about where this $80 million jet is, maybe let us know. You know, some people are suggesting that if you eject from a jet, then that jet should be immediately going. Well, I suggested that. Should that jet not be immediately going down at the time that you eject? It would seem so. Brian is in
Apparently
Alexander.
You had the autopilot on.
But then why did you eject?
It's a good question.
Because of a mishap. Oh, we did get this. Hold on before I go to Brian. There's no satellite data, they said. That's a great question. Was this pilot Wrong Way Feldman from Gilligan's Island? That is a dated reference lost on younger listeners to the Murphy Show. You see, back in my day, there was this show, McMurray, called Gilligan's Island. It involved young people on a 3-hour tour of the Hawaiian Islands. Thank you very much.
Speaking of dated references.
Hugh Babies, Jumbo House. I'm getting that. I'm getting Fox and Lock from Leaper's Fork. Mark says the pharmacy's overrated. They say it's great. Apparently it's one of what's that guy's name? I don't want to give him a free plug. I think he does advertising with us anyway. The Don't Sell Without the Intel guy. That guy?
Mark Spain?
No, it's not Mark Spain. It's somebody else. Whoever it is, but apparently he like puts the pharmacy on one of his commercials. I don't know. I'm just being told.
Gary Ashton.
Is that who it is? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Buster's Burgers in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Brown's Diner's a good burger. I've had Brown's Diner, and that's pretty solid. Maybe the jet ejected the pilot. That's a good thought. Cletus Burgers, they know where that jet is. Those things are tracked continuously. I think that jet's probably at the bottom of a lake. Did you not say earlier, McMurray, it's about a 75-foot lake? One would think that you could get in there and figure this out pretty quickly. Say if it's 75 feet deep.
Yep.
I mean, that's not That's not deeper than, divers can go. Although I will say if a jet crash lands in a lake, there's probably going to be jet fuel in that lake, and you have to take some extra precautions if you got jet fuel around you. Matt, you sound like Grandpa on the Real McCoys. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. What we have, Hermitage Cafe used to have the best burgers. I'm dealing with an amalgamation of people just inundating us on the Super Text line with ideas about burgers and combining that with thoughts on the F-35. I do not believe that F-35 has been stolen, as some have suggested. Although, what was the movie starring Clint Eastwood where he stole the jet?
Firefox.
It's a pretty good film.
Or was it Foxfire? Maybe it was Foxfire.
I want to say it's Foxfire because I think Firefox was a collection of books about life in the West Virginia mountains back in the day. But I could be wrong. A Tennessee man has been arrested on federal charges.
Firefox.
Is it Firefox?
Yeah.
Clint Eastwood's in that. I want to say Jan Michael Vincent was also in that film. I just remember it. I haven't seen it in 30 years, but I remember it a good film. Tennessee man has been arrested on federal charges stemming from the breach of the United States Capitol on January 6th. Is this still going on? Alan Jennings of Hillsborough was arrested this past Tuesday, last week, and charged in a criminal complaint filed in the District of Columbia with a felony offense of civil disorder. Citing court documents, U.S. Capitol Police closed circuit television security video and police body-worn camera footage, the attorney's office says Jennings was a part of a group of protesters that converged at the lower west terrace of the U.S. Capitol and was among the first 3 individuals to enter the tunnel. Inside the tunnel, the AG, or the attorney's office, I should say, says Jennings moved ahead and broke a glass door with a knife that had a glass breaking end before assisting in pushing against a line of police officers. I don't know the details of this case, and if you violate the law, you can expect some comeuppance. And if you breached the Capitol perimeter and you had police officers or Capitol Police telling you not to, then you were in violation of the law and you have to pay the penalty. Now, a lot of these folks are being way overcharged because of the political nature of this event. And what ought to be a fine, what ought to be, pay retribution, what ought to be maybe a 6-month time in jail is turning out to be 5 or 6 or 7 years. A ridiculous amount of time based on the offense. All that to say, I just find it hard to believe that, this is 2023. We're dealing with 2.5 years later and you're still charging people in these offenses? Just hard to believe. Brian is in Alexandria with a thought on the F-35. Hello, Brian. How are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
I can, Brian. What's on your mind?
Okay. So I was in the United States Air Force back in the early 1990s, and I just want to say that it takes some effort for the pilot to deploy the egress system in one of these aircraft. There's no button. The pilot actually has to reach under his seat, and there's a wire up under the pilot's seat. He has to grab that wire and break it in order to deploy the egress system.
Yes, I was being a little tongue-in-cheek when I said, what did he just accidentally bump the eject button? Because, obviously it's going to take a little bit more than that to get out of that flight. Isn't it a 2-step process? You tell me, Brian. I don't know if you know F-35s, but on these jets, it's a 2-step, right? You have to explode the canopy off first. Am I not right?
Yeah, there's a latch that makes the canopy come off, but still to make the pilot seat, the seat come out with the pilot attached to it, he has to reach under the seat and grab a wire and actually break it.
Right, disconnect that circuit, and when he does so, then the full seat ejects him.
Yeah, he's attached to the seat when it egresses from the aircraft.
Have you ever heard of this happening while the autopilot was still on?
No. No, never.
I mean, that's the, and thank you, Brian, for the call. That's the initial information that we're getting. And that does not make any sense to me. Because, and forgive me, a lot of my knowledge is based, and I'm not saying this to be cute. I'm saying it's because it's true. A lot of what I'm saying is really based on what I've seen in movies. That the canopy explodes off. I'm thinking Top Gun. I'm thinking when Goose bit it. Is it dope? I'm sorry, too soon? Spoiler alert.
That's just, why you got to trash his memory like that?
Spoiler alert. He's there in the water. Oh, Goose. Meg Ryan's got to be by herself for the rest of her life.
Son grows up with no dad.
Angry.
At Maverick.
Oh, no question. And then, Val Kilmer can't speak, but he makes things right and
then dies.
And then die. Hey,
wait a minute.
Easy. Easy. At least my spoiler was 35 years old. Yours is like this century. Anyway, most of what I know about this information comes from movies, but right, they explode the canopy off, and then they don't happen simultaneously. Maybe they do now. I've never heard of that being possible while, you know what? Let's just peel back the curtain a little further. I had no idea that these jets had autopilot. In the meantime, suggestions for burger joints on National Cheeseburger Day. It's also the birthday of the United States Air Force. And I want to give a quick, point of personal privilege in saying thank you to my wife's grandfather, Lieutenant Colonel George Holy, who served 2 years in the United States Army starting in 1945. And he left the United States Army after a 2-year tour of duty. He left because he was so excited about the possibility of flying. He flew in the United States Army. And upon the formation of the United States Air Force on September 18th, 1947, Lieutenant Colonel Holy left his position in the United States Army after 2 years and took up a position in the United States Air Force. For the next 29 years, he navigated planes for the United States Air Force. Thank you to Colonel Holy. Thank you to each and every one of you that has made the Air Force the branch of our United States military that it is today. The Air Force had a birthday on this day, 1947. Happy birthday, Air Force. Back in a moment with the one and only Brian Wilson after this. Super Talk 99.7, WTN. A lot of suggestions as to what happened to the F-35. The pilot dropped his phone under the seat. That's my favorite so far. One way or the other, we'll let Brian Wilson handle this story from now until 7 o'clock at least, and he joins us now to preview what's going on the drive. Hey, Brian, how are you?
Well, I'm fascinated, like you are, by this F-35 story. I mean, it really is quite something. And think about it. You got it. I think it's an $80 million aircraft on autopilot. And it's not squawking. And if you're a pilot, you know that every pilot has to put on their transponder, and that allows the system to trace you. They can pick you up, even if you don't have the transponder on, but they don't know who you are. And so he's flying along in stealth mode in a stealth aircraft, and when he ejects, nobody can track the thing.
Because it remained in the stealth mode, and.
Sort of unbelievable, and it just kept apparently flying along, and nobody can track it. Nobody knows where it went. The search is, it's just like, it's almost sort of funny in a way, but it's not, you got people saying, anybody seen our F-35? It's we
they
lost
literally asked us to be on the lookout for their F-35.
We don't know where it is.
Is there a better microcosm for the Biden administration right now than this aircraft?
Well, look, the pilot clearly made an error. It's going to be, I would like to hear more about how he ejected and why as this story goes forward, but we'll be on it.
I know you will. There's Brian Wilson. He is up next with The Drive, 4 hours of talk radio excellence. We're back tomorrow at high noon. Until then, folks, have a wonderful afternoon with Brian Wilson. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.